One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory.
All right, so we are here this afternoon as I have lost my breath. No. With these two young people who work for the Department of Social Services as we continue in the celebration of Black History Month, African American History. And we have with us to my right and your left, Chandra
Davis.
And she is
ITC for intake.
And JoJo. And he is with
LGBT workers.
Yes, and so what we're going to be talking and sharing about is Black history, what it means to us, what it means to our future, not just our past, our present, but our future, and what difference how we use that to make a difference in our lives. Okay, so Chandra, we'll let you start off. What does Black history mean to you?
To me, Black history is learning where we come from, what we've been through, so we can use that to basically power forward and teach our children what we've been through so they can know what they don't have to go through in the future and what they can become in spite of what we've been.
Where did you learn most of your history from? Was it from school? How did you get acquainted with history?
I think everyone gets their initial introduction in school, but the further I went, the more I learned you do have to do research for yourself because there's a lot of information that's missing, a lot of information that is purposely withheld so that we don't fully understand what we're capable of. So again, I think it's important for us to research for ourselves, to dig a little bit deeper so that we get a full understanding of our history in total.
And so what was the most prolific thing or most profound thing that you learned about self in history that you didn't know that made a difference in your choices and decisions?
I think more so the diversity of our people. There are a lot of stereotypes and stigmas that are placed on us today that either don't necessarily fit or have a reason and a purpose that we don't always get to understand or see. So the way that we're viewed today gets more so of a negative connotation instead of interpreting the origins of our customs and traditions that we either have lost along the way or don't really know the meaning of.
Excellent. How about you, Ginger?
What's the question?
He's a little nervous, you guys, but it's okay. In terms of our history, what is it that you have learned about history? I know you've kind of already expounded and talked about Muhammad Ali and how he took a stand to stand for what he believed, and in that stand went to jail, went to prison, and that seems to be a trademark in that era that a lot of men and women, in taking a stand for what they believe, lost careers and went to jail. And none of us, none of us here today could say that that's something that, could you say you would go to jail for? Well, it's the truth. That's not just you, Not too many of us today say we're going to go to prison or jail for something that's going to change the communities that we live in. So I don't, that's positive or negative, but that's just the fact of the matter. So what in history has inspired you?
I mean, just being able to persevere.
That's huge.
Like, never give up if somebody tells you, no, you can't do this, yes, you can. Like, look at former President Barack Obama. I'm pretty sure everybody told him, you can't be no president. You're black, you can't be there aren't any black presidents. He said, yes, I can. Then in 2008 and 2012, he was a president. And you just keep on, do not let anybody deter you from your goals at the end of the day. If you think you can do it, just do it. You're going to get all these different roadblocks. It's never a straight line to your path. There's always roadblocks. But as you continue to persevere, at the end of the day, you're going to get to that end goal.
And I think that's what's awesome, the perseverance, the patience, the persistence. It is consistent in our history that the men and women and young people persevered against many odds, right? Great odds, and were persistent in seeing change and transformation. And so we have no excuse. The bottom line is we have no excuse. You have any military in your family?
In older generations, not current, not recent. No.
And so, and that's the other thing, you know, we're celebrating this month. They've chosen to concentrate on the military, and I actually had to think about it. And I thought, you know, my father was a Marine, and my grandfather, who was in the Army. Now me, I was adamant about not being in the military, but when I think about the men and women in my life that did go into the military, we have a lot to be like. We're gonna edit. Yeah. Yeah. So it's the perseverance and it's the consistency of seeing that perseverance, not giving up. You know, being persistent. We have joining with us, I believe, Lamont. Say your last name.
My name is Lamont Norman.
And what department and division are you with?
I am in the building department.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Lamont, for joining us. And we're talking about what it means to us, and what are some of the icons that stand out. So, since you've joined us, what does Black history mean to you?
Black history to me, it pinpoints a time in American history that the African Americans have really started to show and develop their quote-unquote worth in the American society. We've always had a worth, a sense of self-worth, but to some of the other races, we were always seen as second-class citizens. But through the contributions, not only in medicine and art and music and in athletics, and how we've strived and persevered, it's real difficult not to recognize the contributions of African Americans. And through the civil rights era, how it also opened the door and catapulted civil rights of other minority people in America. So it's a rich history. It's filled with some staggering things and some very, very commendable things. So that's pretty much what I picture in my mind when I think about Black history.
So, you know, I was sitting here and I was thinking, when we talk about Black history, how do we translate that into, because you get different responses when you talk about Black history or African American history. How do we translate that into people seeing it as a tangible experience, one, and vital to the carrying on of our history and how we move forward?
In history, it gives our current and future generations something to strive for. We've seen how our people have struggled and overcome the struggle, from slavery to sharecropping to owning our own and building our own societies and intermingling within the societies. It's just a very, very integral part of the United States of America, and not only for the past, but for the future.
And you know, it's important to also, I just have to say it, I'm sorry, that we also remember not only that, we have the perseverance and persistence and the strength in the Middle Passage alone. We lost quite a few people in the Middle Passage, but the mere fact that so many men and women made it under those conditions says a lot for our persistence and our perseverance and our strength and our courage. So who's an icon that stands out for you?
An icon that stands out for me, and it's really not even a person that is known throughout the world. We could look at Cheryl Spiller, for example, how she started from a clerk and made her way up to the chief of this department.
Yeah.
I also look at some of the other people, not only, like I said, who are known internationally, but who I've known and I've observed in my own community. People who took time out with the young men that I grew up with, that's had a very strong impact in my life, that's kept me from going in different directions that where I wouldn't have been able to rebound from. So it's not always the icons that we need to celebrate, but even our own parents, our grandparents, you know, they may not be well known, but they're well known to me. If it wasn't for them,
It's our history makers.
it's
That's what we stand
taking it
on.
personally.
Yes.
It's my history. So that's what is important to me.
Awesome. That's Chandra, did you share one of yours, your icons or a person that stands out?
I didn't. The most recent to me would be, my mayor, the mayor of Compton, Asia Brown.
Oh, yeah.
So she is African American. She's a woman. She's young, so she's already a minority all the way around. But I think it's important because she's making current history.
Yes.
So instead of being able to or having to reflect on people who are no longer with us and pulling from their experiences, pulling from their accomplishments, we have someone that's right in front of us that can teach us the way and pave the way for children, not only female children, but little boys and girls that are coming up with her. So I think that's important.
Awesome. Love it. And so I would just like to say thank you to each and JoJo, Chandra, and Lamont, because you are history makers right here at the Department of Social Services. Thank you.
Thank you.